Well, yeah.
What are we gonna do?
Why is your belt
sit here and say Thursday?
higher than mine? Is what I'm under.
Let's be clear about this,
Because like
guys.
mine's the championship
We're
belt.
not going to agree on everything.
Yeah, but I'm more important.
Yours is the illegitimate belt.
It's my house.
How was your day? How the fuck was your day? I'm the machine.
You might be a redneck.
A bunch of men talking about barbecue grills.
Animals must think we're idiots. We're idiots.
Taters, salad.
Since you love me so much.
What's the deal with airplanes?
What I would suggest is just start.
Welcome to Opening the Mic, the weekly podcast where you follow along with two aspiring comedians on their journey from stand-up open micers to real deal comedians. I'm Travis Stevenson.
And I'm John Murphy. And for the first time ever on Opening the Mic, we have a guest in studio with us. So at home, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause, the one, the only, Johnny U.
Cowtown Johnny.
Thanks for
Uncle
having
Johnny, man of many nicknames.
Yeah.
me. Many aliases.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah. Something you need to tell us?
Well, actually, the Uncle Johnny, someone was making fun of me because I was like the oldest person at the club.
Oh, yeah.
And they started calling me Uncle Johnny. And sometimes I'll try to give like advice and they take it as like drunk uncle advice.
Well, that's the
I
best
feel like you
advice.
look good to be the oldest in the club. But
Well, I'm not the oldest anymore. I'm just the oldest funny person now.
yeah, that's fair.
Phil Cowtown has me beat on.
Oh,
the
yeah.
oldest, but-
Yeah. He's not there. He's not a regular, though.
No, he's not.
We don't see him as often as we see you. So that's how we met Johnny, our local club, the one we're talking about all the time on here. We met him there. Didn't know him beforehand. He was just like us, going in, trying to do some open mic. Was that your first open mic experience was there, or did you do some? You're from California, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Did you do any comedy or anything there?
No.
So your first time on stage was at Blue Ridge?
Yeah, it was actually Travis's first time,
Yeah.
I think, too.
Yeah, it was all of our first time for sure, yeah.
No, like the same day.
Oh, that same day.
Oh,
was
really?
you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because we took a class together, and
Right.
I've talked about this before. Like, I took the class because it was stand-up comedy and comedy writing, and I was like, oh, cool, I'll learn how to write funny things for my YouTube channel, and just it would be a good skill to have. And then you were there, and you actually gave me my first tag, like when we had our little writing assignment. So we had to write this thing out, and you gave me my first tag, and I used it that night, and it killed. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I learned the whole art of like giving everybody tags, and sometimes people are cool with it. You hear somebody's set, and they get off, and you're like, I thought I have a cool tag for this, and you'll tell them. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I'll use that. And then it's cool to see them incorporate it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people are, like, yeah, I'll do my own thing. Fuck off, loser.
Yeah.
I'm not funny enough to do my own thing, so.
But I was impressed because we did like an exercise. It was like, what does he look like?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to step on your joke, but I said youth pastor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then in like 5 minutes, he had like his set written on youth pastor. I'm like, you got to go up there and do that. And he went up there and did it. And I said, well, if you're going to go up, I'll go up.
So that was your first bit, was you look like a youth
Yeah.
pastor. And you were the one who told him he looked like a youth pastor.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was an exercise for the
Oh,
the
I know,
class.
but I'm
It
just
wasn't
saying
like-
it all started with you still. Like you're,
Thanks.
so now
Pretty
it's
much.
like, now we got to go Grandpa Johnny, the grandfather now, because you're the one who started
Godfather
this whole thing.
Johnny.
Godfather, yeah, that's what we need. Yeah.
Not Grandpa Johnny.
Yeah, that was I guess that was hurtful.
But no, when we get in the class, and I didn't understand the assignment, and the owner of the club's still a little butthurt about it because he goes, we're gonna do this exercise where we go around the room and we're gonna make assumptions about each other, because so much of comedy is making assumptions and breaking assumptions. I'm like, all right, cool. And then he gets to me first, and he's like, okay, Trev, make an assumption about me. I'm like, well, you look like the kid from The Sixth Sense if he grew up and he's not doing well. And he's like, no, I meant like I'm in IT, or
That's what I said. I said, you look like an out-of-work IT guy. Yeah.
Like, don't.
he's like, guys, not like we don't need the clarifiers. He goes, this isn't a roast. He goes, just give me an assumption. And then I was being shitty to everybody. I didn't mean to be, because I just didn't understand the assignment. I got to this one girl, and she's in her 40s, and she's a pretty for her, she takes care of herself, and she's into like looks and fashion and stuff. And I was like, you look like you've had, you're on your 7th Etsy shop and it's not doing well or whatever. So I was like, I was shitting on everybody. I didn't mean to. I was like, that's just what I assumed she was. And it gets to me. I was like, oh man, they're going to be brutal. They're going to be like, oh, he looks gay or like a pedophile or this or that. I was like, here it comes. And then, Angie, the girl who, she's the nicer looking older lady. And she was like, you look like you spend a lot of time on your hair. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I've been insulting everybody. I just got compliments. And then finally, Johnny said,
You look like a youth pastor.
youth pastor. And then I think you also said,
Which covers gay and pedophile.
No, exactly, yeah.
I think
he
you
was
said-
it was a blanket statement.
and then he said store manager at Long John's, which is fucking hilarious.
But I told
Also true.
I told Angie that because she looks a little high maintenance,
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
high maintenance. I said, it looks like you have a submissive husband.
That's what I bonded with Johnny right away is because everybody else was trying to hit and be funny on the first day. And me and Johnny were just like, this is just what came out naturally. It's like, I wasn't trying to put anything on. We just didn't understand the assignment.
Yeah,
I understood the assignment.
that was me being nice.
Yeah.
I mean, you've met me,
Yeah,
right?
well, that's on the nicer side.
Yeah, I say things to be funny
Right.
that are mean.
Well, yeah.
And I know they are, but I always say, don't judge me on what I say, judge me on what I do.
Yeah.
So I take care of people. I like to make people happy and have fun.
I agree.
just like laughing. And if things that I say hurt your feelings, then we shouldn't hang out. That's all I'm saying.
Even when you're insulting me, you do it so sweetly. You'd be like I'll get off and you'd be like, that was really funny, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
So we already established first time you were on stage was at Blue Ridge at our local club.
Yeah. So let me ask, we know why I was there. Because I was trying to learn how to write. I mean, I'd always been interested in stand-up, and I thought about doing stand-up previously, but then I chicken shitted out. And then when I became 31, I'm like, I'm too old to try this, so I'm not going to try it. But then I went to do comedy writing, and then I got kind of forced on stage, and now I freaking love it. So that was why I wanted to do it. What caused you to sign up for that class? What interested you in stand-up?
I've always loved stand-up, and my previous profession was police officer. A lot of P's.
Yeah.
The P filter. And I didn't have the freedom to do it. I can't go up there and say what's on my mind. You lose your job like quick. So as soon as I stopped being a police officer and a club opened up here in town, I was like, I'm going to do it. And I've always loved comedy, and this is going to sound like a brag, but it is. I'd tell what my wife would call crowd pleasers. So we'd go to parties, and she's like, "Where are we going to this party? We barely know anybody there." I'm like, "They want me to come tell crowd pleasers, like just funny stories." And next thing you know, I'll have 10 people standing around me, and I'm telling the same story that I tell every.
So you were workshopping then
Yeah.
and didn't even know it, I guess.
Yeah, and like briefing, there's 10 to 15 folks in briefing, and it is like a snake pit. Like you could say anything you want, do anything you want. You could joke about, baby death,
Yeah.
whatever it's all cops, and we were just relentless and rude to each other, and
The darker
horrific.
the better. I
Yeah, there
guess.
was no like anything sexually explicit. It
Yeah.
was to the point of criminally sexually explicit. We still joked about, So
Well, I mean, in a line of work like that, I guess you kind of got to, right, to be able to deal with some of the shit you see and do, right? Like that's like
Oh, yeah.
like a little bit of a coping thing is just to make light of the terrible situations. I would assume. I mean, I've never been a cop, thank God, because I'd be such a shitty cop.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
I'd be so terrible at it.
I have friends for life just from saying one funny thing in an extremely stressful situation.
Oh yeah.
That's when the funniest stuff, because there's so much tension, and then somebody breaks the ice with something stupid. Oh, it's the best.
We were talking about that last night. It's like we're notorious for going to a funeral of a very close friend or loved one or whatever and sitting in the back and cracking jokes.
Yeah.
Because that's how you deal with that
Yeah.
shit. That's how we deal with it. Like the high stress, high intensity situations are the ones where jokes help the most, and I think they hit the hardest. Like when you're not supposed to be laughing, that's when it's the funniest, right?
But also, you notice it whenever we do like those, because you are the world's worst for like picking sucky things to do, and that's your thing. So we have all these shared suffering moments. It's like, hey, you know what would be great? And then fast forward 6 hours later, we've went to some bullshit area. We wound up like sleeping in the bed of a truck because plans didn't pan out. We're soaking wet. We're huddled together. And, it's just miserable. And he's always roping me into miserable experiences. But whenever, like, you finally break and your spirits are over with and you're like, fuck, this is just going to be a miserable night, that's when some of the funniest shit starts being said.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I own up to that 100%. I am that guy.
You remember that
Like,
time?
it would be a lot of fun. It's never that fun. Like the shit we got into growing up.
Do you remember that time we went to that campground?
Oh, yeah. I fucking... Yeah.
We're like, okay, so I think we're 15 or 16, something like that. You
Yeah,
had
I was
just got
driving.
you
Yeah.
had just got your license.
Have you guys kissed yet, or are you still
No, we were still flirting around the idea. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he meant in general. I was like, have we kissed? And I was like, have we kissed?
Of course. What, have you not drank beer, Johnny? Jesus.
When you were 15 is what I was talking.
No, we were still dancing around it at that point. Yeah.
But so he's got his license, and he's like, his dad had a RV at a campground, maybe an hour up the road.
You know, white trash shit.
Yeah, it was at like a campground with a lake and cool stuff. So
a house.
Yeah, but pretty much a house.
It was nicer
than most of our houses. Yeah. So he was like, he's like, hey, let's do the old thing where you don't tell your parents, where you'll tell them you're staying with me, I'll tell them I'm staying with you, and then we'll sneak off. We'll go to this campground. My dad's probably got like 3 beers in the fridge. We'll drink those. There's like a little teen hall where there's like pool tables and arcade games, and we could go meet girls and stuff.
We were going trolling for puss.
Yeah. So we go out there, and then we are trying to drink these old ass beers that have been sitting in a little fridge there probably for years, and we're just drinking those, and we get in his little dad's golf cart, and we drive over to the pool hall where the teens hang out, and we get out, and we see these 2 girls, and we start talking with them, and we go back to the front porch because these weren't just campers; they had fucking porches on them because rednecks love to build decks.
They've been there a while.
They love to build decks. So we're out there, we're sitting with these 2 girls, we're talking with them, and one of these girls is trouble, and she's like, we got to go to bed now, but you guys should come back out, and we'll keep talking. And
yeah, she's like, come back at like 2 a.m. and we'll come back out and meet you. I'm like, that's what we're here for, right? Is that 2 a.m. meeting with a couple of teenage girls, which, come to find out, one was slightly younger than the other. Yeah. But that's another story.
Which, I mean, okay, it was 15 and 12, and I was 15, so it's like 3 years difference, but still it felt like I was going to jail because she didn't have teen in her age.
Yeah. She was like,
There's a big difference between 15 and 12.
Yeah, middle school and high school.
But she looked like she was 18.
And I feel gross even saying that. I was like, ooh, she looked a lot older. Yeah. It just sounds like some shit.
Because I remember us starting, and I was like, I want the blonde.
No, I wanted the blonde. You wanted the brunette who was jailbait.
Yeah. I was like, she looks a little older. I'm a little older, so that works out good.
And then we found out her age, and then it became like a fist fight between the 2 of us.
Like, no, I want the legal
talk to
one.
the blonde.
Like, neither one of them are legal. But anyway, so we go back at like 2 a.m. to this camper.
And I'm like, what's our plan? Because it's just an RV. Like, there's only this limited space in this shit.
There's not like a
what we're
back
gonna do
door.
is we're going to tap on the window. And I'm like, well, how the fuck are we going to know which window is hers? And she's probably damn sleeping in a microwave bed or something, because every RV has got a pull-out bed from the microwave or the toilet or whatever. Yeah. So I'm like, how do we know where to knock? So we knock on the window.
We just picked a window.
And feet, the door opens up and I see feet walking. I'm like, okay, it's a girl coming. It's a girl. And it wasn't a girl. It was her grandmother, an old lady. And she was so sweet. She's like, Samantha is in bed, so y'all are going to have to just go away now. So bye-bye now. And we're like, all right, bye. And then we get back, and I'm like, well, that was, kind of cool. So let's just sit here and try to drink this beer.
We'll finish this beer. And that's all we needed at 16 was a half a beer apiece to get the courage to go back and knock again.
No, you wouldn't stop. Like, you were like, he was like full of lust and rage and piss and hormones. Yeah, and he's like, no, we got to go back. And he's like, dude, pussies will never be heroes. He goes, do you want to live a life with regrets? I'm like,
you can't be a pussy all your life, right, Johnny?
Yep.
At some point, you got to go.
So he talks me into it. So we go back, and instead of like picking a new fucking window, like some real dipshits, we knock on the same fucking window. And then a door opens. And I'm like, tap, 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 tap. And then I hear the door open, and I'm like, oh, maybe she's coming. And John goes, it's a dude's feet, run. And I'm like, what? And I look up and I go, what? And I look up and I see him just fucking bolt, and then I turn back around, and there's this dude with a fucking gun pointed at me and goes, don't fucking move. And I'm like, oh, yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Listen to how this little bitch, listen to how pussified this motherfucker got in an instant, okay? You're a cop. You probably dealt with some stuff like this. Have you ever heard of someone being such a bitch that he does this? First of all, he stops.
Oh, the guy tells me, he goes, move into the light. And I'm like, well, I'm going to get shot, so might as well fucking do what he says. He goes, what's your name? I'm going to go, Travis Stevenson. I give him my full name. I would have gave him my social security number if he would have asked.
And
Murphy.
then he's like, what's his name? So I come back. I'm not going to leave him out here to die. So I come
I'm
back.
like, John. And then you go,
He's
Smith.
like, John. I'm like,
Smith. John Smith.
Fucking don't give him your real name, dude. It's just a guy. It's just some dude. Like,
yeah,
he's not...
I don't know. Maybe he wants a biography before he shoots me and then has his way with my corpse. I don't know.
He may not have even wanted your last name, dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
no, he did, because he goes, John. He goes, what's his last name? Yeah. And then he walks around. He goes, Smith.
Like, come on. My last name's Murphy, obviously. But, like, dude, Lie for
lie
longer.
A little, lie a little. So then we get done, and then he tells us to fuck off and not to come back. And I'm like, yes, sir. Didn't want to come here in the first place. It was my jackass friend. So then we go to leave, and then Murphy goes, my dad's going to find out we're here. We're going to get busted. And he goes, we got to leave. And I'm like, well, it's already 2 a.m, so can't we just sleep and then leave in the morning? He goes, no, I can't have any evidence that I'm here. I'm like, well, we already drank beer, and they have my name and know what we look like. Nothing would do them. So we pack up, we leave, we get in the truck, and we drive around, and he finds an abandoned Magic Mart, an old shittier version of Kmart. And he goes, all right, we're just going to sleep in the truck until morning. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, I'm going to sleep in the cab. And then he goes no, I got to go sleep in the bed. I'm like, it's cold and it's rainy and it's wet. I'm like, I'm going to sleep right here. And he goes, I can't sleep sitting up. Tough shit. What does that have to do with me?
I'm not going to be miserable, cold and wet, and you be comfy and warm in a bench seat. That's just going to help your sleeping situation and make mine worse.
So he's like, well, if you're going to try to go to sleep, I'm just going to sit here and sing all my favorite songs until I'm tired.
I'm not. First of all, we're in this predicament because you can't lie.
Yeah.
That's why this all
we're
happened.
in the predicament because you can't leave well enough alone.
You were in that predicament because neither of you two can run.
No, he ran. I just didn't.
I was gone.
I pay to see you two try to run away from
Well,
something.
no, that was before I got fat.
I was fairly fast.
Yeah, I was quick. I was gone. And then I was like, dude, I'm not going to let him go down by himself. But anyway.
A true friend would let him go down by himself.
I should have. I still regret that.
But it was your idea, so you had to feel guilty. Because I was totally cool, just meeting up, trying a beer, playing some arcade games. I'm like, we feel like we're alone because we don't have parents in the house. I'm 14. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Cuddling with John.
15. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuts to butts.
Yeah. Pulled a hole.
Yeah. Pulled a hole.
All right. So anyway, you got any crazy getting caught by? Because the reason we had to leave is because my dad was on the security department there. So I didn't want him to get in trouble for because he worked for the campground while that's why he got to stay there for free. I didn't want there to be evidence that I was there that next morning when the new security guard came over and was like, hey, why are you here? And where's your dad? And all that shit. I just wanted us to not be there at all. That's the reason. I didn't want him to get in trouble.
Well, yeah, but the point of the story is I was doing that horrible fucking thing. We're sleeping in the bed at night, and it's so miserable. And when we're staring up at the fucking rain hitting me while I'm sleeping in your wet ass truck bed, I just look over at you and just everything became fucking hilarious, and we just start shitting on the situation.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, have you been in situations where you've been in a shitty situation and it's funnier because of it, or you're going through something tough with your army, your Air Force buddies or Army buddies?
Yeah, we call that embracing the suck.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Here's a story. I was working with one of my partners, and the city just annexed a portion of county property, and they're going to turn it into city stuff. But it was still rural houses, out something like this.
Okay.
And people in the county live different than people in the city. They could shoot rifles on their property. They could do what they want. So we get a call of somebody shooting a gun off a porch and screaming and yelling. So me and my partner show up, and he used to be a Green Beret. He's a legit
right
guy. So we get there and we hear a 22 going off. I'm like, oh, it's probably some, farmer shooting possums or raccoons or something in a field. And so we don't bring any of our good weapons. We just go up with our pistols and we just gonna go talk to the guy. But it's from the road to his house is probably 150 yards, and the gate was closed. So we had to walk up. And as we're walking up, we have our flashlights and everything. And then we hear a real rifle shot, a 30-06 go off.
Oh no.
And then we're like, oh no. And then we hear a whiz and then a rifle crack.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
So that means they're shooting at you. So we dive and hide behind this tree that's as big around as that table. And we're there, and we're basically pinned down from this guy laying in a cow pasture for probably 3 hours. And we used to carry little pocket recorders. This was back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And so we were just joking around the whole time. We're recording ourselves, laughing our asses off while they're mobilizing SWAT teams to come rescue everybody. We're like, note to Randy Weaver, he was my boss. You suck as a person and nobody likes you. If I die, don't come to my funeral. Just play this. And we just left it running. And I'm like, hey, my partner's name was Tom. Hey, Tom, look out and see if he's still there. He's like, this is a bad angle, Johnny. You look out and see if he's still there. I'm like, no, man, just look out and see if he's still there. And so we just bicker and you're just laughing your ass off. None of that stuff is funny.
Of course not. Yeah, because you're
but because you're embracing the suck.
But when you're there, what else are you gonna dude, die angry.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. So did the guy know you were police and wasn't cool with that, or he just thought you were intruders, or did you ever figure out?
He was about 90% drunk.
Oh yeah, that'll get it. That'll happen every time. Yep.
We really didn't get a good statement from him. He went to jail.
Yeah. Well, he shot
yeah.
at some cops, so there's that.
And then we tore his house down.
Oh yeah, as a revenge thing, or it was a county thing. It was like you personally went in there and was like, you know what, fuck this guy.
No, it was torn down, not by us though. But.
All right, so you started doing stand up at Blue Ridge. Your first bit you did on stage or whatever, was that one of those stories that you used to tell at parties, or was it something you had written completely new? Kind of a little bit of both, I guess.
Kind of think of what your first bit was.
I think it was the one about my father-in-law.
Maynard, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I haven't told that any stories because he actually died over the pandemic. So.
Oh, okay.
But he and I had a unique relationship, so I was always thinking about ways to
fuck with him.
Yeah. So, now that he's dead, it's easy.
Yeah.
That's a good bit too. I think the first time I ever saw you, because I didn't go to your all's first one. I wasn't there till the second week, so I started a week after all of you guys did, because I wasn't in the class. And the first thing I ever heard you say on stage when you walked up was like something about how like this. Yeah, I know my face looks angry, but I'm not that pissed off. And I was like, self-aware, that's good. I like that. I was like, so initially I was like, well, if nothing else, this guy's going to be self-aware. Like, because you do walk up and you have like a scowl almost, like most of it. Well, it's just you got resting angry face. So you got up there and it was like, yep, this is the way my face looks. And I was like, okay, this guy's going to be pretty good. And then I think you went into that bit the second week, maybe a different version of it or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I like that guy. And we started hanging out a little bit after that, after shows and stuff like that. And I think that your progress from the first time I saw you to like what you do on stage now is crazy. Like how much more comfortable you seem.
Yeah, it's still not funny, but
no, you're fucking terrible. But
and that's a passive aggressive way of saying you really sucked in the beginning, because I mean you're leaps and bounds over where you were 2 months ago.
The material was fine, but you could tell that you were like uncomfortable with the stage, I guess, or whatever. You just seem so much more comfortable now. Like when you walk up now, it's kind of like everybody shut the fuck up and listen to what I got to say.
Well, what helped? So the first time I went up, I felt pretty good. I think for the first time, I felt pretty.
Because I
like
didn't know it was
well.
your first time when you went up.
Yeah, but after the first time, I just ate all the dicks and bombed, and it didn't bug me that much.
Yeah, you get over it. It's done.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just going to come do better next week. I want to do better, but I realize there's really not that much to fear, because the only pain is the pain you put on yourself. So I'm up there trying something to be funny. If it doesn't work, then scrap it. I'll try something else.
Yeah.
Next week, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
Oh, not me. I get so freaking nervous before I go up there, especially when I'm trying something new.
Still.
And you'll have some jackass be like, oh yeah, next up is Bristol's Funniest. I'm like, it's an open mic and I'm trying stuff that's brand new. I'm going to eat all the dicks.
Don't put that on me right now.
Like, oh, this guy should be funny. Well.
Well, give it time. We'll see.
Yeah.
So, because this is opening the mic and we try to demystify comedy for people who are just starting or whatever, how do you go about writing a bit?
Yeah, because kind of like us, you've been able to crank out quite a bit of material, because in a short amount of time, you rarely do the same 5. You know, you've had
really, yeah. If it's a set, like if I get a guest spot on the weekend, I will do stuff I know that.
Well, yeah, you have
works.
to. Yeah, that's.
But if it's an open mic,
you're trying to do pretty
not
much
a lot that I get to go to, so I just want to try new stuff or do something that's similar with a different ending or a different whatever. But my jokes are stories, honest to God stories. You know, like my father-in-law treated me less than perfectly. He didn't think we should get married.
Yeah.
So that's why I made a joke about it. And, you know, here I've been married for 32 years.
Right.
And he really thought it would never last.
He was wrong.
You know, all my police stories, they're all based in truth. I'll punch up something or other here to get a laugh or whatever. I'll tell other people's stories that I was just a witness to, and I'll put myself in the role where I could be the butt of the joke instead of trying to say someone else was the butt of the joke, or whatever. Just so that way I don't look like a total jackass. But
so are you sitting down with pen and paper whenever you're writing these stories out? Or are you walking around trying to say it and record it? Like,
yeah, if I'm drinking, I write it down because I'm sitting there drinking at home by myself or whatever in the dark normally.
No pants.
No, I was gonna say pants optional. So
Yeah, but lately I've been just saying things into my phone, like recording voice messages in my phone, and then the next day I'll listen to them and see if there's anything that I could salvage from my
ramblings.
I noticed that's how I started. I was writing. I would say things in a recorder, and then I would listen back to it, and especially if it was like a week later, I'd listen to it and I could take myself out of it and be like, that guy's fucking up here. He should say this. I'm like, oh, that's me. That's what I'll do. And now I've been writing things down, and I think it makes it harder because when I'm seeing it in text or, on paper, I can't hear the delivery and I can't hear how it should go. So it's harder for me almost to...
Yeah, I don't write word for word. I do like what a PowerPoint should be, where they give you a bullet and then you talk about that subject, not just reading the entire screen. So
I noticed that too whenever I was starting to get like, I remember I got a guest spot for a pretty decent comedian, and the first night I go up, I did what the club owner told me that he thought I should do, and I'd memorized it word for word. I'd rehearsed it 1,000 times, and I go up there and it's so stiff and shitty and not good that I'm like, there's no way I'm fucking doing this for the late show. I'm like, no way. So then I did a bit that I'd only did once, and it was just for a 5-minute open mic, and I had to stretch it out for 10 minutes. But because I didn't have any pressure on myself, and I was, I didn't have, I hadn't rehearsed it, and I hadn't memorized it to the syllable, like it was just so much more loose up there, and I could actually be funny, and I was thinking of things, and I was messing with the audience. So that's how I've been trying to do stuff now is, like you said, a PowerPoint. Have a bullet.
Yeah. I know this joke will work. I know where the punchline is, but depending on what's going on, I may throw some different words in there or phrases. And sometimes you come up with a better word on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was trying to find it was a joke about female police officers, and they're built like John Murphy.
Yeah. Large and in charge,
but
baby.
I didn't want to, it's for a clean set that we're supposed to do. So I didn't want to say, all the trigger words, fat, ridiculously fat, obese, bound to die,
sloppy,
sweats Crisco.
Yes.
I didn't want to say any of those things
it's
about
butter.
Yeah. So I just spontaneously came up with sturdy. Like sturdy.
That's a good word.
Sturdy
too.
women, and everybody knew what I was saying, type of thing. But
yeah, they're not going to blow away in a storm.
That's
they had to
that's
be,
also a funny word too.
They had to be prostitutes. It was a prostitutes thing. So I was like, I'm gonna have to start the pricing at $4.
OBO or best offer.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Comedy. What inspirations in comedy? Your favorite comedians, the guys that make you laugh the hardest. Who inspires you? Which is like,
so as far as just like one of my favorites was always Don Rickles. I just like the way he roasts people and burns people. He's just his persona where he never looks like happy and he's angry.
Yeah.
And he says ridiculous things to people. I just love him. But as far as like my favorite when I was young, Sam Kinison.
Yep.
Period.
Yep. I could see that. Yep.
Yeah. I saw him live in DC in either 80s or early 90s.
I bet that was wild.
Yeah. On a date with some chick I was having relations with, but now she's my wife.
Oh, nice.
And then, as it goes on, like now I like Tim Dillon and,
I like Tim Dillon a lot.
Tim Dillon's really good
so
too.
we drove 4 hours to see him in Raleigh. Just literally made like a weekend of it and got a hotel room for 2 nights.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
I can see some Kinnison in you. I can see where that was an inspiration or whatever. I can see Rickles in you.
Yeah.
You can tell that those, like, you're not doing their shit or anything, of course, but like
he's not yelling like Kinnison, but he does the same amount of cocaine. So I get it.
Yeah, very similar.
I haven't found any good cocaine out here yet, though.
I bet you my
if you
neighbor
do, I'll do a
can
line
hook
as big
you
as this
up.
table with you.
I don't know how you feel about meth, but I've got some neighbors that would just hook you up with the best crystal meth. It's got to be good because I got people coming in and out of this road like 24/7.
They make it with love. Use grandma's
Because
recipe.
we're in the South.
If I wanted meth, I could make my own.
Yeah, you probably would have no problem Getting the recipe, because that was your thing. Are you cool talking about that? Like what you did as a cop?
Yep.
So you were big on the drug side, probably doing them, but also trying to stop people from doing them, right?
I would get fired day one.
I never did anything illegal when I was a police officer.
Okay, you're clear now. So you were a detective, right?
I was.
And a lot of your stand up comes from that, like comes from stories about that.
It was my life.
Yeah, well, for what, 30 years?
Just about, yeah.
And you did undercover stuff, right?
A lot of it. Yeah.
How
That
did you
is
not
intense.
take bricks of money or coke or prostitutes? I worked at a Vitamin World in a mall, and I don't work out, like obviously. But whenever they had like the protein that they're like, this stuff's no good, we're gonna send it back for lost or stolen, reclaim or whatever, I would just take it. So I would just every Christmas people were getting fucking tubs of protein, caffeine pills, like spirulina, whatever was hot.
I don't think the evidence room is marking out bricks of coke for expiration.
Yeah,
and
but if
throwing
he
it
pulls
away.
over somebody on a bus and he like pats him down, and then there's like a bag of coke right there, like, oops.
Mainly 2 reasons. One is jail sucks.
Yeah.
Probably sucks worse for like an ex-cop.
Jail really sucks for a cop.
That's a good place to die.
Yeah. Slowly.
There's a lot of people in there that are there because of you. So
You know what I'm realizing? This is the first job. My current job is the first job I have where I haven't robbed that place blind, because I was I worked
you're
as a butcher.
shitty person, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
I worked as a butcher in a meat department, right? And they would throw away this food like a couple days before it goes bad, because they're like, fuck it, we have to have this done by Wednesday. So they would just do it on a Wednesday. So if shit went bad a few days later, they would just chuck it. And I'm like, well, that's stupid. They wouldn't reduce it. They wouldn't get rid of it. So I would just I'm like, can I take it home, give it to a food shelter or something like that? They're like, nah, just throw it away. And I didn't want to throw food away. That's not how I was raised. So I'd grab all this shit and I would take it through the back and I would set it by the dumpsters where the trucks would come in to make their deliveries, and homeless guys just started gathering there. And I'm like, hey, this is my shit. Don't fuck with my shit. I'll get you a cut, okay? So then I had to start sectioning it off for every homeless guy that would come up. Like, these are mine. You don't touch mine. I get the ribeyes. You get the pork. And then I would have to do that and then wait like 10 minutes before I'd go on break. And then I'd go out, get my car, and I'd run around the building, and I would get the meat, and then I would have to drive it home, put it in the fridge, and then get back. And it was just like every job I've ever had, there was like always something going on theft-wise.
And the other reason why I'd never like take money or evidence or anything like that is in California you get paid ridiculously well
Oh yeah, as a
to
cop.
be
Yeah.
a cop.
See, I was making $5.15 an hour in the meat department, so
if you
I had to give myself tips wherever I could, you know?
So if so including like benefits and pay and all that type of stuff. I think my package was like over 150 grand a year.
Jeez, so it's not worth risking it.
And
for
then I get to retire at 50, which I did. And now I make 75% of that for the rest of my life plus paid medical.
Whoa!
I am moving to California,
Don't do it.
and becoming a cop.
He's just saying it because he doesn't want anybody else to do what he did.
Yeah.
No, it's expensive to live out there too. That's why we're out here now.
That was actually going to be my next question. What on earth put you here? Did you have family here? Did your wife have family here?
Yes.
That's always the end. No one ever's like, where I think? Bristol.
No, so I met my wife in Washington, D.C. She lived in Virginia, and she was just tramping it up at some bar when I met her.
Yeah.
And
Seems like the type.
Listen, your wife is a lovely lady, and I'll not have you speak about her like that.
She is a sweetheart.
She is awesome. I love her.
my wife?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's awesome.
Okay.
She's always been absolutely wonderful to me.
No, and then
She's very giving, loving, gives the best hugs, not head, but
Yeah.
hugs.
Yeah. And every time I've left my wallet there, she's brought it back to me. So she has no problem returning things, and all the cash is in there.
Yeah.
Despite me trying to pay her for her services, she's like, no, I do it for the love.
I can't believe you're talking bad about her knowing she's sick with cancer.
She's not, Johnny. She beat it according to your joke.
She did.
I'm glad, because I was like, wait a second, I thought she beat it too. My fucking heart just sank in my stomach. I'm like, no.
But I met her in D.C. and I
Yeah.
got transferred to California, and she went with me. We were married. And then I got a good job out there, so we stayed out there until I retired. And then I actually picked Bristol because I was looking at a magazine called Where to Retire,
Oh, really?
and they had politics, gun laws, taxes, weather, climate, outdoor stuff, a little bit of nightlife. Anywhere in the Tri-Cities would have been cool with me. And we just lucked into our place in Bristol, and I like it. And we're actually just going to buy a rental property. We're just going to buy a property we'll live in until we find a house and then rent that out. And we ended up just liking the neighborhood.
Just staying.
How
long have you been here? How long have you been in Bristol?
2.5 years.
Oh, so it's not that long. I thought you'd been here a lot longer than that.
No.
So how shitty was DC?
Oh, I love DC.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
As a cop?
Oh, I was in the military.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I was in the military. So my job, I was in the Air Force, and my job was, they call it ceremonial guardsman. Really, really small unit. And we did all of the ceremonial jobs that required guys in uniform at the White House or the Pentagon. And we also did all the military funerals at Arlington Cemetery. So in 2 years, I did 500.
Jeez, that's heavy shit, too.
But that's why you joke about funerals.
Yeah.
I mean, after the funeral, we got on the bus that was 30 yards away, and someone would turn on a boombox with De La Soul on, and we'd start dancing before.
Oh yeah, of course.
Before the family even left. Yeah. So after the first, 10, you're like, and
being serious.
You're probably
all the time's
deaf
not
in
gonna
one
bring
ear
her
because
back.
of like all the 21 gun salutes.
Yeah.
It's actually firing 3 volleys, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
You dumb motherfucker.
21
gun salute is to
7 rifles and they shoot 3 times, right?
yes, firing 3 volleys. It doesn't have to be 7 rifles, but what happened is you'd clean your dead and wounded from the battlefield, and the way to signal that it's time to start fighting again is you'd fire 3 volleys.
Oh, but they call it 21 because there's usually 7, right?
Because they're wrong.
Yeah, so you're fucking stupid.
I'm an expert in this.
Yeah, no argument here.
A 21 gun salute is done for like foreign dignitaries or the president, especially if they're coming in by ship or at the Pentagon, and that's done to signify that your batteries, your cannons are all unloaded. You shoot all 21 of the cannons, and they're fired one at a time.
Yeah, Travis, you stupid motherfucker.
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna go ahead and leave. See myself out.
Good.
Travel once in a while, huh?
I like DC. I go to DC.
I had a great time in DC. There was something to do every night of the week, and I'm not talking about looking at monuments. I mean,
Right.
There's nightlife every night of the week.
I've just always heard it's like a really rough area and it's dirty.
It's got rough
and-
parts for sure. Like
Yeah.
the last time I was there, like I was driving through and there was like a whole row of cars, and you parked on the street parking, so probably like 500 cars, and every single one of them had their back glass busted out and robbed.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit. Like, so some dude is just going,
Well, I mean, if you
still.
sure. I mean, what are you going to stop after one? You've got a whole row of.
But when
free
you get
shit.
to like the 30th car, like you think that maybe somebody would call the cops. Like,
no,
this dude's just setting a land speed record for smash and grab.
maybe that's where that came from. Smash and grab. Think about it.
Maybe. But it was the murder capital of the United States when I was there. It was like during the crack epidemic.
Oh, yeah.
and everything. There were just neighborhoods you didn't go to,
So there were places that it was like chill. I mean, I went in high school for like a school trip, but we did like the Smithsonian, the mall, like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like we didn't go to the real parts of the city where you would live and stuff. It was all just the touristy spots. But like I just remember in high school, everyone saying like DC's pretty rough, man. Like it's a scary place to live.
Yeah.
It's also compared to here where it's like there might be a murder per year.
That's true.
Yeah. But I never had any, problems there at all. So I always hung out like where the college crowds would hang out, like Georgetown. And,
Yeah.
I wanted to go to the bars where there were young people to hang out with because I was young.
Yeah.
So that's all. I didn't need to go buy crack. So
Well, you had your connections.
not yet. So. But technically then I was already a military police officer. That was my job. That was just a temporary assignment. And then I got transferred to California as a military police officer, and the Air Force actually put me through 2 police academies, one for being a reserve officer and then one for being an actual California certified police officer.
You've lived a wild ass life, dude. You've seen and done some shit.
I'm pretty happy with how it's going.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Well, I mean, you're making 75% of a pretty good salary all the way across the country from the place you had to deal with all that shit.
And now you're picking up and you're doing comedy. So, I mean, you've still got a lot of life left. I mean, if you play your cards right, you're at the halfway point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No, I'm not. I'm past the halfway point.
If you play your cards right,
Yeah, well,
put your
I
ass on a Smucker's commercial.
He drinks a lot, so we'll give him another 10 years.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we're being generous. That's if we're being really generous.
12.
12 years.
12 will be perfect.
Yeah.
Because everybody in my family dies at 65, and that's how old I'll be in 12 years.
Oh, hell yeah. So that's a perfect timing.
Yeah, but imagine you're the halfway point. You know, you get on some sort of weird carrot and kale diet. You could live to 106. It's possible. Advances in modern medicine.
And he's in
The point
better shape
is-
than we are right now.
Yeah, no shit. Comes in here and he's like, got the jeans on, the cool shoes, tight shirt. I can't wear a tight shirt. And I'm like, that's why we sit behind the table, like to hide the, you know.
Yeah, that's the word. You think
problem
this table's
areas.
here because we need somewhere to sit our beer? No, it's to hide the gut, bro. Well, to kind of hide the gut. I actually need to go this way a little bit.
Yeah, we were going to have both laptops right here so you would just see our heads.
Something I wanted to ask you about because we talked about it yesterday on the last recorded episode. The belts and all the stuff you do for the club, the leather working, and you built the podium too, right?
Yeah,
Is that
into
something
woodwork,
that came
leatherwork.
from retirement, or were you doing that before?
My whole life I built stuff. Just
Yeah.
one year I decided to learn how to weld because they had that Orange County chopper, American chopper, whatever they called it. And I looked at these dumb monkeys and I'm like, if they can build motorcycles,
Right.
so can I.
Yeah.
And I learned to weld and ended up building like custom bikes for my kids and restoring and modifying motorcycles and stuff like that for fun. And I've always done woodworking. I've loved woodworking. And I've always done leather. And I started leather because
It feels good on the scrot.
I failed out of biology. So they had like industrial crafts or something.
Yeah.
And if you took that, then you could take electronics, and electronics would count as my science. So I had to take that, and then I did leather there. I was like, man, this is kind of fun. I like.
It's really good work. It's like, what? So you gave me my joke belt for Christmas. I just want to formally say, fuck you.
I just want to say I didn't give it to you. You earned it.
That's
That's fair.
that's fair. Yep, he's got a point.
I mean, it's the only thing that devalues my belt is that he came in second place because we all know that certain people got robbed. But besides that, he earned it.
Everyone besides you got robbed. You got lucky as shit. You're not that funny. Fuck you. What? Why did you end up doing two? Did you not like the color of that leather, or what? Because there's like nothing wrong with it.
I like the one that you have better.
I agree.
So I made two to let Sean pick which one he wanted, and he picked the other one.
Oh,
glad he
so
did,
there's like nothing wrong with it.
I know. I love this one because it's leather, but it's got the gold and the way you like emboss it. It looks like
No, mine's better.
metal. Like
Nope.
it's amazing.
No, mine's better.
Nah, not a chance.
Because that's why I was like, I don't know why there's two. Did he like not like something he did on this one? Did he not like the color of the leather? Like I thought maybe there was a blemish on it that you saw that I couldn't find. That like I screwed up. I'm gonna start over. But no, it's just that it was a choice between the thing.
There's blemishes on everything I make, so I don't point them out because once I show them to you, you'll see them too. So
It's
I think it's perfect.
yeah, it's really high quality work, and I know people who've done leather working, and it's not easy for it to look, especially that symmetrical and neat and clean and everything, because all that shit is hand punched. So I'm just saying, pretty good work for a retired old cop piece of shit.
that's not punched. That's all carved by hand. So there's little tool marks around the edges,
That's all carved by hand.
but all the lettering and all the art is all carved with right here.
Yeah, I'm sure that took 10 seconds.
Yeah, it was like super quick.
Super quick. That wouldn't be very time consuming to do
I could do
two
it too
belts.
if I wanted. It's whatever. It's not even that impressive.
So it seems like we kind of sympathize with this a little bit because whenever we go to do stuff, and I mean, this is going to sound like we're sucking our own dicks, and I don't care because it is what it is.
Well, my dick's delicious. Who wouldn't want to suck it?
We don't try to half-ass anything. Like if I decide I'm going to pick up a new hobby, I'm the kind of weirdo that gets into it. Like we decided to do disc golf, went out and bought all the bags, bought the discs, watched all the fucking
We
videos.
were talking about that before we started. Disc
What's
golf.
that?
Me and Johnny were talking about disc golf. before
Oh
we
no!
started.
Like whenever we entered a tournament, it's like whenever we get into
Well,
a new thing,
we both entered a tournament. Some of us won some tournaments. So you know, you got
the tournament that
funniest-
you and I entered, we both finished last and second to last, and it's because
That's
we
because
met.
we went to a Mexican restaurant, and got drunk, didn't finish.
and
the
missed our
last
call
half.
time. Yeah, we got penalized pretty heavily.
I mean, you've won a comedy competition. I've won a disc golf tournament. We're both winners here.
Point is, okay, so for me, it's like, okay, so I've got a YouTube channel where we flip houses, right? We decided we wanted to start flipping houses, not having a ton of experience in it, and a bunch of our friends and family were like, that's a terrible idea, don't do it. But it's like we decided to set our minds to it, and we've been pretty successful with it. YouTube channel, go to start it. A lot of people are like, I don't think it's going to fucking work, and then we've been pretty successful with it. I decided I want to start doing comedy, and I really work at it, and I've done okay with it. So you seem to be like the same type. It's like whenever you pick up something, you're not okay sucking at something. You're not okay being mediocre at something. So
Like, do it right.
yeah.
100, like we talked about podcasting, and I'd like to get in it too. I've been practicing. So I bought a podcast mixer, and I didn't go cheap. I bought what I wanted. And
Yeah,
then,
you can't half-ass this stuff.
and then I had a iPad Pro, and I had the ability to edit it on the iPad Pro, but I didn't like it. So I had to go buy a laptop, and I'm not going to buy a laptop. I've got to buy a MacBook. I can't just get a regular, and then
Because if you're going to do it, you got to do it.
then I have to have the magic mouse, and then $4,000 later.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know that even as we get older, that shit's not going to leave us. We're still going to be doing that shit.
But it's good seeing Johnny, like everything he's put his mind to, he's
worked
been
out pretty
pretty
well, yeah.
successful at it. So like you're doing comedy now too. And like I know we were joking, you say you got 10 years and I'm saying you're at the halfway point. I feel like if you wanted to be, like you could take this places. I don't have any illusions that any of us are ever going to be on fucking, Netflix at all.
yeah.
But I definitely think that we could get the respect from some of our peers, open for some big comments, maybe be a feature, maybe be a headliner at some places. I know we had Mo Alexander came to the club, last weekend or the weekend before, and you were just talking around with him, and just from you shooting the shit with him and being funny whenever he picked on you in the crowd, and he was like picking on you, and he could have just said something, he could have done a mean heckle, or he could have just been quiet. But the thing he said added to the show so well that Mo actually said, next time I come through, I want that dude fucking opening for me. Never heard his stand-up, but just based on his
Just knows that
personality
he's
alone.
a funny guy. Yep.
Yeah.
He might regret that, but
No, he won't. He won't.
no, Mo's a funny guy too. I liked him.
Oh, can I tell what the whole thing that transpired?
Yeah, please do.
So Mo's up there, and I think he's talking about shitting on cops, this and the other, and somebody let it slip that Johnny was a cop, and he calls him
Well,
over
he does
there.
bits about being a cop. It's not like it's a secret.
It wasn't to that crowd because they didn't know.
Oh,
But
that's true.
anyway, so they call him out, but it was in the middle of the show. But either way, Mo calls him over. He's like, "Man, come up here and give me a hug." And he gets up there, instead of Johnny giving him a hug, he starts patting him down and frisking him, like grabbing towards his balls. And then he just goes, "He's clean," and the fucking audience dies laughing. And I'm like, he could have just gave him a hug and everybody would maybe clapped or had a little weird,
Right,
awkward
but,
moment.
yeah.
No, he's like, I got to take this to the next level. If I'm gonna have to hug this dude, I'm gonna make it fucking awkward.
That's good.
I am still paranoid about people finding out I'm a police officer. I come from a different environment.
Yeah.
Where you don't see blue flags flying, blue line
Right,
flags are flying or whatever. So like if I'm going to do cop jokes, you'll see I sit in a different place. If I'm just going to watch a comedy show, I'm going to sit in the front, have a good time, not worried about who's behind me.
Also, if you do cop jokes, so you you get to control how that narrative is set up, this, that, and the other.
I don't like people behind me that I can't watch knowing I'm a cop, because in a room of 40 or 50 people, you just need one asshole or one drunk person
Yep.
to come up and do something. And I really don't like it for my wife. She's lived her whole life worried about me getting hurt, people not liking me.
That's fair.
And once some people find out you're a cop, they honestly treat you different.
Oh, I'm sure.
For-
Yeah.
forever. Like, how hard it is to buy weed now?
That's we do live in an area where cops are probably viewed a little differently than they are in California.
Yeah.
Just in general. I mean, we're a pretty back the blue area here.
Yeah.
But I think the difference maker, the separator, is that you are aware that there are shitty people in this world, and some of them are cops. A lot of them aren't cops, but you're aware that there are some shitty ones out. You're not one of those guys who's like, nope, it doesn't matter. The badge is a crown. They can do no wrong. You're aware that there are some shitty people out there.
Yeah.
You weren't one of them, and you make that clear. It's like, hey, I'm not a racist. I'm not a crazy well,
I mean, I know some jokes.
listen, I'm never the first person to say the N-word, right? Like, I'll let someone else do it first, and then I'm comfortable.
Yeah, I always check. It's just like when you're crossing the road, you check left, check right, and then you're good.
I have sung along to some gangster rap in the 90s.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. But the fact that you're not like, because there are some cops like that. I personally know some. I have some in my family who are like, it doesn't matter if they're a cop, they're in the right. And you don't see it that way. You know that there are cops who have done some wrong shit, and you're willing to be like, hey, that guy's a fucking dick. And that's all it takes to separate you from the people that deserve some of that hate.
Yeah. And the converse thing is, those cops that I think are dicks, they probably think I'm the dick.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right, because you're fucking it up for
They
them.
might be in a room in California right now
Oh yeah.
talking shit about me.
But see,
fuck 'em.
I get it because when I get introduced to people or people don't know me, like I want to control the narrative about me. Like I don't even want people to know where I'm from, where I live, what I do, unless I decide to bring it up. Because like you said, any piece of information you give somebody, they start treating you differently because of it.
Yeah.
Like we've done the comedy the same time, but I got fucking lucky and won some stupid competition, and now people immediately started treating me different and weird.
How dare you?
Yeah, you piece of shit.
I mean, stupid isn't like I'm mad at it. Not stupid that I didn't have a ton of fun at the competition, and
That competition was glorious.
I enjoyed it. I mean, stupid in the point like it shouldn't matter.
It was like 4 sold out shows. It was awesome.
It was awesome. But when I say stupid, I mean like it shouldn't matter because it doesn't change the fact that I'm still really green at comedy. I'm still not that good. And the fact that people treating me, like trying to get people that used to workshop with me to even want to workshop, they're like, nah, you got it, you're good. Or now people expect you to be funny on an open mic, or, I'm not allowed to suck the same way I used to be allowed to suck.
I got no problem.
You still suck.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not allowed to. Now they're like, why does he suck? I thought he was supposed to. Wasn't he? He got his fucking picture on the wall. Like, why? I don't know if I agree with that choice. He should have came in last in that competition.
Yeah, I agree. The judging did suck.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yep.
I mean, I'm just saying, audience vote. Did you vote for me, Johnny?
I'm pretty sure I voted for.
Oh, this is awkward. Johnny probably voted for me number 1, and you didn't get a vote.
No, I voted for Rain. I voted for Ryan Holton, and one more. I can't remember who it was. It might have been me. I'm not lying.
Wow.
No, I meant the second night.
I only voted on the night that I paid,
Oh.
so I didn't want to count as an audience member if I'm just there like working the door or something.
Gotcha.
He didn't vote for us, Travis. It's fine. He doesn't think we're
he's
funny. He doesn't
full
love
blown
us.
lying. I can tell when a cop's lying.
Yeah.
I've been to traffic
Are you a
court.
cop? You have to tell me.
I'm not a cop.
That's true. You're not anymore.
Yeah.
No, but
All right.
He gave me 3 votes.
I'm not going to lie. I never said I voted for you, and I'm not going to because I don't think I did. So
Wow. You know what? Cancel this episode. We don't want him to be our first guest anymore because he didn't even vote for us in the competition.
You weren't funny.
That's fair. He's got a good point.
So my mom says.
Yeah, well, she's right.
But no, but the point is like I like being able to control the narrative like a little bit because I grew up in a shittier, smaller town than this, and when people find out where you're from or how you grew up, that's why like even in the jokes, like I've got jokes about how I grew up because I had a unique childhood that I grew up in like a series of trailers and all this just random white trash shit, and I don't feel like I'm white trash. I don't feel like I personify rednecks and white trash. So when people find out certain things about you, they treat you differently because they expect that to be your personality. So
You're definitely white trash, though.
I mean, anyways, I'm saying I get it. Like if you're gonna talk about being a cop, you might be the one that gets to break the news and tell it the way you want to tell it.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's not a huge big deal, but I like to present it how I could present it because I like to be able to diffuse it too. Like
I remember it was like you had kind of a hang up on it whenever we were writing jokes. People would tell you to lean into it. You're like, nah, I don't want people to really know. Because it was a while before you did jokes about being a cop.
Yeah, well, I didn't, just like hillbilly guy here, I didn't want to be known as a cop guy.
Oh, that's me. I don't want to be known as fucking somebody who's trying to be Larry the Cable Guy or some shit.
Could have fooled me.
Which is what sucks.
Bristol, baby.
Then,
I'm sorry I had to do it. I fucking had to do it.
But see, like I'll get up on stage and like they'll be like, tell a story that's unique to you. I'm like, okay. And then you tell the story.
Here's a story about how my trailer burned down. And they're like, well, not that.
Oh my God.
Story.
A guy at the club who's also had like a similar upbringing. He heard from the bartender that I'm not really wanting to do white trash redneck humor. And he got so hurt. He comes up to you and goes, Tramp, say it ain't so, man. Say it ain't so.
I thought that was like you.
He thought we were blood brothers and bonded over it. I'm like, yeah, we've got that in common. But yeah, I don't want to be known as the guy who talks about like how awful my childhood was with my white trash family.
Yeah, well.
And I have awesome cop stories that would make excellent jokes, but they're dark.
I think that's okay. I think that's. I want to hear those stories. Maybe, yeah, depending on how things go, whether it turns into a bit or not. But I love that dark shit. Like, I don't know why. I always have like the darkest, like most abysmal, evil shit. That's the shit that fucking kills me every time.
Well, like whenever something gets tense and then somebody breaks it, and so the darker it goes. Like we were talking last episode, Jimmy Carr's in hot water right now because he said he made a Holocaust joke, and he said the good thing about the Holocaust, everybody talks about the bad thing in the Holocaust. 6 million Jews died, but nobody talks about the good thing. Like, we got rid of a lot of gypsies too. And I'm like, yeah, that's a dark joke, but it's still funny, right?
Funny, yeah.
I love Jimmy Carr.
Yeah.
He's a dark motherfucker too.
So
Sometimes.
this is a true cop story.
All right.
Back when all the gangs were still shooting each other in California, we get a call of a shooting, and we're like, me and my partner Steve are just around the corner. We show up, and we get there, and we can still hear gunfire going. So we park the car, and then we see somebody laying in the middle of a cul-de-sac, clearly shot and leaking. So
Oh, I love that verbiage.
Leaking.
Clearly shot and leaking.
Yeah.
so
What would he be leaking, Johnny?
now we're hiding behind a car, and Steve looks at me, and Steve's a big, strong guy. He goes, I'm going to go get him, cover me. I'm like, okay, cool. So he grabs him and starts to try to carry him by dragging him from his armpits. But the guy's bloody and
Leaking.
lifeless. So he ends up getting him in the car by pulling him by his ponytail that lasts like 10 feet.
It's not like he cares.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't feel it.
I thought you hesitated on. He's because he's not putting up a lot of and lifeless.
Yeah. So
He's no longer with us.
that doesn't mean he's dead. It's just the way he was.
Oh, I thought you meant he was dead.
Yeah. No. So we get him there, and turns out, yeah, he was dead. So
It doesn't mean he was dead.
so
But yeah, he was dead.
So Steve started doing CPR, and there's a whole fiasco. And like later that night, like 6 a.m, we're in the locker room. We're still covered in blood from trying to help this guy, and Steve's really hurt that the guy died, and he's second guessing him. I should have got him earlier, or maybe I could have done CPR better. And I said, Steve, don't worry, he never would have survived that road rash you gave him anyway. And
That's good.
And that's exactly what he did. He laughed, and
Yeah.
I don't see why you don't do that.
now we're still friends, because some people think it's
Fuck
Yeah,
him.
well, yeah, but
Fuck
I mean,
'em.
I understand where Johnny's coming from too. You don't want to alienate half the audience who's like, isn't okay with that. Like,
You mean the people who aren't who are already not cool with cops, and then you're giving them
well, not
another
even
reason.
necessarily the cop thing. Like,
disrespectful to the dead, I think.
that's the problem.
You didn't know he was dead.
Well, he
wasn't
did. He knew he was.
For the punchline, I definitely knew he was dead.
It's one of those things. It's like the objective of comedy, like we talked about already, is to make the room laugh, to make strangers laugh.
But it made
at
us
something.
laugh.
Sure, but if it's something that
No, you're being hypocritical right now, because Jimmy Carr, we talked about this. You were back, Mr. Carr.
Oh,
he alienated a bunch of people with that joke.
I'm fine with what Jimmy Carr did. I love that. But what I'm saying is I understand Johnny's perspective or Jimmy Carr's perspective if he's like, maybe I shouldn't have done that because it didn't work.
Oh, I'm with you now. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm on board now.
I'm not saying that that's not a great joke and he shouldn't
You're just
do
saying
it.
you understand why has
Hesitant.
reservations.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I understand why because it could result in losing half the crowd or more or whatever, which is fine. Like, I'm not on board with these guys who's like, my goal is to see how many people I can walk in.
Oh,
one night.
dude, people that do that, I've heard that being said at our club, and I'm like, it's a new comedy club in a town that's not known for comedy. Like, the last thing we want to do is fucking walk patrons.
Yeah.
Because, that's 3 people that walk, and if they tell 3 people,
That's not a badge
9.
of honor. That's not what we're here to do.
No, that's a bad Yelp review is what that is. And that's
Yeah.
somebody going, oh, I was there, and it was terrible. They were
Yeah.
just shitting on our religion and our hopes and our dreams, and we left. We walked out.
Well, and that's less drinks that the bar could sell, and that's why it's open. And if you walk people, then guess what? We don't have anymore.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
A place to go.
This will be our open mic spot.
Yeah, it's like it's not my place to talk about business, but I'll be sitting there watching it, and on the weekend and how things are going, and I'll have all these ideas, and it's not my business, but I'm still protective over it because it's our place that we go. It's the first place I did stand up. It's where I kind of learned how to do jokes, and I want to see
our
it
club.
flourish, man. We've got a game we're gonna play, Johnny. If you're okay with this, how comfortable are you with stand up comedy trivia, like comedians? Have you watched a lot of stand up? Know a lot of their bits?
I do. I'm not good with names.
Okay, well, this one's multiple choice, so you should be good. So we're going to scroll through here. We're going to read some questions, and we're going to see how many of these
And I
that you can
say
get right.
we're not going to try to keep score or anything like that. We're just going to see if we can get them together as a group. Just
We'll see if Johnny can get the answer, and then we'll all
Yeah.
as a group.
And there's also a demographic difference between y'all and me. Like,
yeah,
things were different in comedy when I was your age. So.
yeah. You can still say stuff then.
No, I'm just
Oh no,
saying
he's confused. He thinks that we're from California or DC. Sweetie, we got everything 20 years late. I was listening to Richard Pryor when I was a kid, and that was current.
Touche. I've seen how you guys dress.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. Well, like, and a lot of this, if it's not Jeff Foxworthy or Larry the Cable Guy, I'm probably not familiar.
Jerry Clower.
I love Jerry Clower. Anyway, all right, Kayla, read us the first one.
Hey guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kayla.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. This raunchy comedian made his television debut on the variety show On Broadway Tonight, rather. Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Andrew Dice Clay.
Got a guess, Johnny? Because just based off of raunchy, I've got a guess.
Oh, yeah. It says raunchy, but then it says on Broadway. So I would guess. Do you have a thought? Pryor, Carlin, or Dice?
I'd lean towards Pryor.
I think I'm going to lean towards Dice because it's Broadway, so New York, and he's raunchy.
Just based off the word raunchy, I was going Clay.
Click on Pryor, though. That's Johnny's. Holy shit, he got it right.
Johnny was
Johnny
right.
got it.
Dice,
We're not keeping score, but he's winning.
He's winning. Yeah, let's do it like that. Just Johnny versus us.
Dice is a Los Angeles-based comedian.
Fuck.
Really?
But he's the Dice Man.
He seems so New York. I mean, that's a shtick, I'm sure, but
Right.
Are you ready for the next one? What was Rodney Dangerfield's signature line?
I don't need any.
Give it to us.
I get no respect.
So the choices are: I can't get no respect. I don't get no respect. I can't get respect.
Johnny was right
Yeah,
again.
he was right.
All right, on to the next one. What female comedian's biography is titled The Bedwetter? Sarah Silverman, Amy Schumer, Chelsea Handler.
I don't know. For some reason, I'm thinking it's Chelsea.
I know Chelsea Handler has a special called You Gone to Be Kidding Me. And I know Sarah Silverman's most recent one is not titled that. I don't know what Amy Schumer's stuff is.
This would just be a total guess.
Yeah.
So we're using the term comedian loosely here.
Loosely.
Yeah.
Very loosely. I don't know. Sarah
Silverman's good.
She used to be funny.
Yeah. I'll give Silverman.
You know what? I'm going to take some shit for this. I used to think Amy Schumer was really funny, too. Because she was the first person to do that, like, super slut, embrace the, like...
She started
that
sure.
thing. But now, the reason I can't listen to Amy Schumer now is because but lots of female comedians do the whole, like, oh my God, I'm such a slut.
I don't know that Amy Schumer started that either, though. You got to give a little bit of love to Lisa Lampanelli for that.
Oh, yeah.
Hers was just, like, straight raunchy to be raunchy. Whereas, like, Amy was the first
just a
person...
dialed down version of Lampanelli. Like, I'm a slut and it's crazy, and Lampanelli was like, I'm a fucking slut and I love it.
But Amy did it in a way like she was a normal, regular person, but she was
That's
just
true.
okay being a slut. Whereas Lisa's like, I love big black cock.
Which one are we going with?
Bitch knew what she wanted.
I'm going to say Sarah Silverman. Fuck yeah.
That was a wild guess.
All right. What successful stand-up comedian got one of his first big screen roles playing Pookie in New Jack City?
It's got to be Martin Lawrence because New Jack City is not...
Our options are Chris Rock, Kevin Hart, or Martin Lawrence.
So it's Rock or Lawrence because it's way before Kevin Hart's time. New Jack City came out in like the early 90s, right?
I wasn't even familiar with New Jack City, so.
I think it's a Wesley Snipes flick. Am I wrong, Johnny?
It is.
Okay. So who's in that movie? Is it Chris Rock or Martin Lawrence?
I don't know, but I'd guess Martin Lawrence.
That's my thoughts. Damn it, it was Chris Rock.
I'm going to go with Chris Rock.
Chris Rock wasn't a lot of movies then, like he did the, what was it, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker?
Oh, wait, doesn't he make a reference to that in Bigger and Blacker? I think he's got a joke in there where he's like, yeah, and then Pookie's out here. Like, I think he says something about being Pookie. But no, I could just hear his voice saying the word Pookie, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, that was just how Chris Rock talks. Sometimes he holds his hands up, does that thing.
Okay, true or false? Friends of comedian Andy Kaufman, is that how you say his last name? Mm-hmm. Claimed he faked his death in 1984. Is this true or false?
I mean, I'm sure some of his friends did at some point, right?
Yeah, let's see. True.
I'm saying true, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that
That was a lame question.
That was,
I was actually alive then, guys.
that's, yeah, I
were
was
not.
not. I was
were
not.
Oh, here we go.
I was firmly in high school, too.
This angry, chain-smoking comedian became well known for his act No Cure for Cancer.
I actually think I know this one.
Is it Dennis Leary, George Carlin, Andrew Dice Clay?
I don't want to say Dennis Leary, right? Because he smoked like a freight train on stage.
I'd go with Larry. Dice smokes on stage too, but that's way too intellectual for Dice.
Yeah,
You were
Leary.
correct.
I remember
Leary.
Leary having some kind of something with. All right, let's do
Ding,
like
ding,
two
ding,
more here.
ding. Yeah, we'll do 2 more. So
Okay, what politically opinionated satirist and comedian has a weekly cable TV show on HBO? Trevor Noah, Samantha Bee, Bill Maher.
All of those?
No. Trevor Noah's on Comedy Central. Samantha.
Oh, HBO.
Yeah.
Bill Maher.
Yeah,
it's
Bill Maher.
Good job. Okay, last one. This shrieking and often insulting comedian was a preacher before he was a
Sam
comedian.
Kinison.
Yes.
I didn't know that
All
actually.
right, and
I felt
that's
bad
it
for not knowing that.
comedian
And then he had a
trivia.
lot of like Jesus and Christian type jokes too. So this was a lot of fun.
That was fun.
It was fun. Johnny, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us and telling us all your crazy stories. We're definitely going to have you back on, so I'm sure you've got plenty of stories to fill some more time in the future.
Guaranteed.
All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. This has been Opening the Mic. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. And other than that, we'll see you next time.
See
Bye.
you guys. Thanks again, Johnny.
Since you love me so much.
What's the deal with airplane peanuts?
What I would suggest is just start.